Hello, my name is Vanessa. I'm a lightworker and I'm here to help. In this video, I want to talk about forgiveness. So, this is a really hard one for most of us, and the only way that I know how to forgive someone, well, there's two ways. That's not true. There's two ways. And the first is just by embodying unconditional love. Now, that is easier said than done. For me, I remember shortly after my spiritual awakening, after I was able to get up and walk around, this was in the springtime, and I was walking outside bare feet, and I looked up through the trees to see the sun shining through, and all of a sudden, I was pierced with this unbelievable love. It was beyond anything I really had felt before. It was so beautiful, it brought tears to my eyes. And what the love specifically was for people who were murderers, for serial killers, the people that you really have a hard time loving. It was for them, and I felt it. I saw a visual in my head, I recognized that it wasn't in front of me, that it was a visual in my head of a light piercing through me, and I felt it. It was heat, it was warm, and it just radiated through my chest. And I remember tears coming to my eyes and just thinking, my God, this is so beautiful. And the love that I felt for these people was beautiful. And I'm lucky because I've had a spiritual awakening, and this was one of the gifts that I received. And I do want to make a whole video about spiritual awakenings soon. But once you understand that everyone is only able to act from the level of consciousness that they are on. Jesus said, "Forgive them, they know not what they do." And I completely understand that now. So yeah, it's easy to forgive someone when you have unconditional love for human beings, and you can understand that, like Jesus said, that they know not what they do. It's almost as if they're asleep. They're not really alive, and that's what a spiritual awakening is. It's awakening from a dreamlike state to a state of higher consciousness. But you're probably thinking, well, what good does that do me? If you haven't had a spiritual awakening, and you haven't received this love for all people, what can you do? And there is another thing that you can do, and that is to try and change your perspective. It goes back to love. I had mentioned in a previous video about our caregivers, how even if we've had really terrible childhoods, where it would be helpful to us to have some compassion for our caregivers, because they're just doing the best they can. We all experience things in life, and we can only be as conscious as the experiences that we've had, and to an awakening if we've had one. So what you can do, one of the things I did in my life, and if you are a family member of mine right now, what I'm about to say will absolutely challenge you, and I want to give you time to go ahead and stop the video if you don't want to be challenged about what I'm going to say. So my father, he's passed away a few years now, and before that we had been estranged for many years. He had a terrible drug addiction. He was in a lot of pain, and he suffered his entire life, and he was never able to be a father. I shouldn't say never. I think I don't remember really these times, but when I was little, I think he did play a role of some kind in my life, and I did see him for a lot of my life, up until we became estranged, approximately 10 years before his death. But what occurred to me after my spiritual awakening was that my father did the best that he could. And even though it wasn't good, it wasn't the father that I was wanting or needing, there was some really beautiful information that came to me it was just like my father used to always say, he said, I came here to break the cycle. He would say it all the time, of abuse, because he grew up in a very abusive family and he suffered greatly, greatly. And he would always say, I came here to break the cycle. I came here to break the cycle. And as I was sitting here thinking of my father, these words just kept coming over and over again, just as he would say it over and over again. I came here to break the cycle. I came here to break the cycle. And it occurred to me, a knowing that my father came here, incarnated into this body to do exactly that, to break the cycle of abuse that was very possible, because this is something that is passed on from generation to generation, abuse like this. And he came here with a purpose to break that cycle, and he was successful. And a love so strong started to just overpower any other emotion that I was feeling. And a gratitude came with it, of my father coming down into this spirit to break the cycle of abuse, knowing what abuse he would face. And unfortunately, my father did not survive the abuse. He was never able to recover from it, and he suffered greatly. But he was successful. He was successful in coming here to stop the abuse for me and my brothers, saving us from a life similar to his own. And the gratitude that I had, it was just unbelievable. And it really changed my perspective. So what I'm trying to say to you is it possible for you to change your perspective, to gain some higher consciousness on the person that you need to forgive? Is it possible to have some understanding of what they went through in their life to lead them to the point in your life where they have harmed you in some way? This is really hard, but it is possible. And it's freeing. So I really hope that you are able to do this. And I do want to say, I know this video is not about a spiritual awakening per se, but if you would like to have a spiritual awakening, call out to the universe and ask. That is what I did. I was driving one day and I was listening to Christian music because it was positive, and I just recognized that I was starting to become aware of energies, and I just wanted positive energy, even though the Christian religion's teachings were often clashing with truth that I knew. And I called out loud in my car, what is this love that I felt? I want to know what it is. What is it? And just a few months later, I had a spiritual awakening and a deep knowing. I guess this is going to be about spiritual awakening. A deep knowing that not only was I living in this universe and feeling this love, but that I was the universe, and that I am love. I am the universe, and I am love, and so are you. Jesus said, I am the Son of God, and so are you. And this is what he meant. That we are all connected, all one. We are all fragments of God, and therefore we are all God. We take forms of consciousness, so there's a duality. We are all one, yet we also take these forms where we are separate. But back to forgiveness. So changing your perspective and having compassion, a deep compassion for the person that has done harm to you. And to know that if they were a happy person and they were healthy and thriving and feeling loved and worthy, they would not have done that. Hurt people hurt people. So if we can somehow bring some compassion to these people and some understanding, then we ourselves can become free. And I know this is difficult. This is so difficult. So there's no judgment here if you can't do it. But know, and I know that you know, that your freedom, your happiness depends on your forgiveness from this person. So I just encourage you to just have compassion and understanding, and that this will bring you peace. I wish you luck, and I love you very much. Thank you.